Hi, it's Mike.
And this is Fran.
And this is Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, episode 49. Hey, we're almost at 50, Mom. That's pretty good.
Yes.
Yes. All right. What happens when we hit 50? We're going to have a big party?
Why not?
What do you want to have?
Don't
tell me. Tacos.
Yeah.
Mom loves tacos. Okay. So you're listening to Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, real-life internet radio on 216 The Net on Wednesdays at noon. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're doing great. Hey, summer's winding down, but you know what? It's still pretty nice out there in the middle of the day, and I think there's a lot of tennis playing left. That's what I think. Tennis and pickleball. I encourage you all to get out there and give it a try. It's great. If you haven't played it before, pickleball is sort of like tennis, but it's more like ping pong, kind of. And, you know, it's like ping, 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 pong, 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 ping. It's pretty fun. I've got everybody that I run into now, I go, hey, you want to play tennis? Nah, I don't play my shoulders. How about pickleball? And they're like, yeah, I could play that. What is it? I go, show up on Wednesday night over here, and Annie will show you how. Now, Annie is an 85-year-old woman that's like a firecracker. She lives here at Lake Barrington Shores. She's been teaching pickleball for like 16 years. She was teaching pickleball before they even had pickleball. She was drawing the lines in the court, and they were erasing them the next day, and then she had to draw them in there again. Seriously. She's been doing this now for 16 years. So they have all the courts. They're painted. They're beautiful, nice courts, and it's really a lot of fun. So I really encourage you guys, go to your local rec center and ask them about pickleball because I think you're going to love it. You're really going to love it. Anyway, I got a little sidetrack there, Mom. Is that okay? All right. They can't hear you when you nod. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right.
That's okay.
All right, Ma. They want to hear you. Anyway, I want to remind you guys to go to our site, mikeandfriendradio.com, and check out Cup of Joe Networking Group Mondays at 8 a.m. Go to Facebook, look for Cup of Joe. I'd love to see you there. If you'd like to make money on everything you buy in the stores, check out Life's Super app, and we have Wednesday night conference calls on that if you're interested. And then if you have a pet, a cat, or a dog, or a bird, or a rabbit, you can call telehealth for your pet from the privacy of your own home for $12.99 a month. That's right. As many times as you want. So forget about spending $200 for the doc to look at your dog's eye and give him some drops. Forget about it. Just pay the veterinarian over the line on telehealth for dogs and cats. And I think birds and rabbits. And what else, Mom? Snakes and alligators?
I always said never alligators.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's what's going on there. And then, of course, you got to check out our new TikTok site. That's Mike and Fran Radio. And that's on our website, too. And then we're doing this $20 for 2 minutes of advertising. So if you own a small business, go to our site and tell me that you want your 2-minute ad on our show for $20. And you know what? 100,000 people are going to hear that ad. That's pretty good. What do you think? I think it's good. So check it out, guys. That's 2 minutes for $20, or $20 for 2 minutes. How do you want to say it, Mom?
Either way.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So we got to talk about something that we didn't talk about last week because it was the U.S. Open and it was sort of like something we were watching for a long time, and it finally came to an end. Last Sunday was the men's final, but last weekend was also 9/11. And it was the 20th anniversary of September 11th, 2001 in New York City when the two aircraft hit the World Trade Center and then the Pentagon, and then the other one crashed in a field because the passengers got involved and they were able to get on their phones and find out what was going on, and they knew they had to do something, and they did something. They saved the White House, basically, is what they did.
Well, for some reason, on this 20th anniversary of 9/11, we became involved in many more lengthy and well-done shows, like History Channel's 4 Flights, NBC New York City's Epic Center 9/11 by HBO Spike Lee. And these started in 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And they were lengthy, and I never really sat down and watched on 2 days so many shows that reviewed from the very beginning to the end on this horrible tragedy that happened.
Yes.
And I learned things that I really never knew, or if I did know, I had forgotten.
Yep.
Like when the first plane crashed into the first building, all of the 4 stairways were destroyed.
That was Tower 1. The first one crashed into Tower 1 at about
second building,
8:49 a.m. Yeah.
Only 3 were destroyed, and 1 was left open that they could use.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
So what happened on the first tower is when the plane hit, it was a huge explosion, and it took out all 4 of the stairwells or the escalators or whatever they had, so that nobody can get up or down. So those people from that floor, I don't know exactly what it was, 91st, 92nd, and up, were trapped. They're doomed. There's no way they can get out of there unless a helicopter came up there on the roof and got them all off, which didn't happen. And then what happened on the second tower is the plane hit a little bit lower. I think it was like 84th floor or something like
70th
that.
or something.
Took out a number of floors, but there was 1 stairwell that was open that they found out. And they tried very hard to try to get some people to come down that stairwell. And we were listening to some of the people on the phone. The one woman was saying, "Oh my God, you got to help us. It's hot. It's really hot, and it's getting hard to breathe. And there's 5 people here, and we're on the 93rd floor, and we have nowhere to go. And what are you doing? Well, I don't see anybody. Well, I thought I heard something. No, I didn't. And what did you hear? No, I don't know what I heard. But I'm still here, and it's hot, and you got to do something. What are you doing to help us? We got to get out of here." And the woman was, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just relax. We're coming. We're coming. We're coming to meet you. We're coming to get you out of there." And they were, but they never made it, of course. And what happened was, I think Tower 2 was the smaller tower, and it wound up collapsing first. And then, shortly after that, the first tower collapsed all the way to the ground. And they never thought that those towers can be,
that the metal could be
demolished
melted.
that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they thought that they would withstand something like that, and they just never realized that with the jet fuel pouring down in the middle, and it was melting the structure, and it weakened it to a point where it just pancaked all the way to the ground. And they were saying that at the top when it started, it was just like boom, 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 and then boom, 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 all the way to the bottom, and that must have been just
they mentioned
insanity.
Also
to be in those stairwells, trying to go up there and hearing this thing, and I mean, they got smashed like mice under a rock. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what a terrible way to go. I mean, that's why you saw some of the people jumping out of the windows, because they were up there in an inferno. They couldn't go anywhere. The place is on fire. They couldn't breathe. They're burning up, and they jumped out. And the first fireman to get killed was by a jumper that jumped out of Tower 1. And then they had the news on, and they were talking in the lobby, and you heard another thump, and another thump, and another thump, and that was people hitting the ground. Oh my God! I mean, can you imagine having that choice of burning up there, or get lit on fire, or jumping to your death?
Well, you mentioned that below where the collisions were, that a large percentage of the people were evacuated.
Well, from what I understood, I think it was about 14,000 people in both towers total.
I thought it was 17, I'm not sure.
I think it was 14,000, about that amount. And I think it was over 90% of the people that were in the tower below the area of where the aircraft hit were saved. Were brought out down the stairs to safety. Over 90%, I don't know, it was 95, 96, 98% of those people that were in the tower that were under the area that was hit by those airplanes, they were saved. And I didn't know that. So they did a really good job. The thing that's kind of disturbing is that the New York Fire Department, FDNY, right?
Over 352 members.
Yeah, but the New York Fire Department was adamant on getting those people out of there. And they had no idea that these buildings were going to come down.
Yeah.
Now, when the second tower came down, the captain had his men going up the first tower, and he knew what was probably going to happen, and he had a choice to make. Go up there and save my men, or tell them to get the hell out of there and hope for the best. What did he do? He went up there. He went up there. Because if he didn't go up there, he would never have been able to live himself the rest of his life. And that's what his two sons said. So in New York, fire department runs in families. It's like, you know, my great-great-great-grandfather was a fireman. My grandfather, my father, my brothers, everybody, my sisters in the family was a member of the fire department. They grew up with these guys. They had parties for them as kids. And they all became, you know, professional fire department people of New York. You know, they all volunteered, just like they were expected to do that. And these kids, 20 years later,
I think they said 50 people are on now that are the
it's all family.
Sons or daughters of firemen that were killed.
It's all family.
Yeah.
And then one son said, yes, my father died at 9/11, and when I go to work, I see his picture there and his plaque with everybody else, and it reminds me of him, and it feels like I'm with him when I'm out here working as a New York, in the New York, as I'm out here working for the FDNY, as I'm out here working for the FDNY. I always have a hard time with that because it's
Fire Department, New York.
Because it's NYPD, okay? New York Police Department, and then it's FDNY. Now, I don't know why they do that, but it always confuses me. It always confuses me.
Well, so how lethal the fumes or the dust and the asbestos and the glass and the things in the air
all right. So now
affected people.
So now you're getting into all this other stuff, but wait, hold on, because there's still a plane that's up there. There was flight 93 that was still going away, and it turned back, and people were like, what's going on? And they had no idea that the pilots were gone. They knew something was going on in there.
Well, then
but they were on the phones. They were on the air phones calling families, and they told them what happened. 2 planes went into the Twin Towers. And then a little bit later, 1 plane went into the Pentagon. And what did they think? Well, we're headed for a building of some kind. They didn't realize.
Possibly the White House.
They didn't realize that it might have been the White House, but it was going back towards Washington. They knew that much. And, we saw one of the programs that kind of, depicted what was going on in that particular airplane. But can you imagine that? A whole,
Well, you mentioned that there was a pilot up there that had been sent out.
Well, there was 38 people, I think, on that flight.
Yeah, but
and they all had to come together and realize within that short period of time that they were not going home, that they were not going anywhere. They thought that maybe one guy that was a passenger could fly the plane with a little bit of instruction, so they were trying to get in there. But by the time they breached the cabin in there to get in there to the pilots, it was too late. It was just too late for them to do anything, and they should have probably rushed him a lot earlier. I mean, I don't know exactly what was going on. When some of the programs talked about that plane, they put everybody in the back and kept them in the back, so they weren't, able to interfere with anything. And I don't know if they held a knife to him or what, but I don't know. What happened, and it was just sad. Some people were leaving messages on phones and never got to talk to people.
Love you, goodbye to family.
The lady next to me gave me her phone and told me to call you, and it was just crazy stuff. So,
well, the pilot that was up there that was trying to get clearance or not, if he knew it was going in to target a building, would he shoot it down with all the people in it?
So what you're talking about, is there was a headline in the paper that said, sometimes heroes need to be saved too. That's what it says. And what does that mean? That means that one of the pilots that was scrambled to go up there and possibly shoot down that passenger jet airplane with people on it didn't want to do that job. He knew he was going up there to shoot somebody. He had missiles. He was all ready to go. There was like 3 of them, I think, that they got up there. And what he said was those people saved him from having to do that. Those people were the real heroes. because they crashed the plane before it hit the White House or any other buildings, and he didn't have to shoot it down. So can you imagine that? Having to shoot it down. But you know what he said? Living with the thought that he almost had to do that, and he was up there to do that, was enough to give this guy post-traumatic stress disorder for the rest of his life. And he had to deal with that. And that's what his brother was saying in the paper. And then you're saying that there's still a lot of people that have had health issues and problems from breathing and all that stuff. And there's a couple people that have been, very vocal about that, about what happened. And we're trying to get funds and money to be able to take care of those people that came down with these diseases that they seemingly never would have came down with. I mean, there was one doctor, remember? The police came by and he goes, "You're a doc? Yeah, come with me." And he brought him right to ground zero. And what happened with him? He had cancer here and cancer there and all these other things, and they didn't know any better then. They had no idea what was going on. And then the EPA was saying, well, the air is safe, and it turned out not to be safe.
Well, the lady that was controlling it, announcing, thought it was. They had told
they
her.
tested it and they thought it was, but apparently it wasn't. It was a discrepancy, because if you were at ground zero and exposed to that, you were going to have some trouble later on in life, and people are having that trouble now. So it's pretty insane. So it was interesting seeing all the different programs. And to relive it a little bit, because it was a traumatic thing, and what they're saying is that we always have to remember that.
And after 20 years, I never really listened that much for 2 whole days and heard so much about it, it was really sombering.
I knew the day was coming, and I wasn't going to pay that much attention to it, and it's come by and gone. Many years for us, right? 20 years, right? But the 20-year thing was a big deal.
Yeah.
And some of these programs were made because it was 20 years and because all the things that were happening. And then there's kids that were born after that point in time that they want to educate. And all right, well, let's just say that we'll always remember 9/11, and we're doing a lot of things so that'll never happen again, right? Right? Including reinforcing the cabin so
putting
that it's
another
not
door
as
in.
easy to break into, and putting another door, like a second door in there, as a precautionary measure, so that it's not that easy for people to break in.
Yes.
Which is a good idea, and everything else that they're doing. So anyway.
It isn't on all planes yet, but they're trying to get it installed in all planes.
They are. So let's hope it's, a safer environment moving forward, and the threat of something like this happening again is very, very minimal, because it was just insane when you looked at those films and those people, and oh my God, nobody knew what was going on. They literally thought it was the end of the world, and I could see them thinking that with what was going on. Okay, so that's pretty much it on 9/11, Mom.
I know.
Let's move forward a little bit, and what do we want to talk about now?
I'll mention of books.
Oh, your books.
Yeah,
So you're reading some books that I got for you on Amazon, and I did something different this year. Instead of buying one at a time, I got all of them at once. So now you're reading them all at once? Is that what you're doing?
Sort of. I read the 4 right.
Well, you're a pretty fast reader. You can read a book like that in no time.
Yes.
Right?
All right, just end up with
So let's talk about the books.
All right, do the door first.
Let's talk about the books.
Yes.
So I know, Mom. Let's talk about my big trip to Dallas next week. Well, actually, I'll be out there when the show comes out, so we're doing it a little bit before. But I have friends in Dallas, and I haven't seen them in a long, long time. So it'll be kind of neat to go back there. And I'm going to a 5-day real estate seminar that's going to be very interesting, and meet some of my friends in real estate there. And we're going to try to work with some of the bankers there that work with bank-owned properties, and we're going to help to sell those properties, because right now it's a huge seller's market. People are selling their homes for 10, 20, 30,000 or more than list price, just because there aren't enough homes on the market. So it's kind of an interesting time to get back into real estate, and that's what I'm going to be doing, especially after I go out there. So that'll be good. So Dallas, Texas. It's hot, and it's big state.
I have never been to Texas.
Never been there, yeah.
No.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know they're known for their barbecue and all that kind of stuff and Tex-Mex. And when I was driving for Uber one time, I had 3 guys from Texas in there, and it was from Dallas. And the one time I was there, we went to this place called Redneck Heaven, where the girls wear these little Daisy Dukes, and on Wednesdays they only wear tattoos on their top and all this crazy stuff. My friend Larry took me there, and there's only 3 of them, and they're only in Dallas. And it's just like some of the other places, Hooters and like these other places kind of, but it's called what? It's called Redneck Heaven, which is kind of a funny name, right? So anyway, nobody would know about these unless they've been to Dallas. So the guys are in the car, and they're like, yeah, well, we got to get going. We got to get something to eat. And, I kind of got in town a little bit later than I thought. And I go, I know why you got in town later, because you went to Redneck Heaven the night before. And they go, how did you know about that? And I thought that was kind of funny that I knew that. Anyway, and they knew that too, because there's only 3 of them, and they're only in Dallas. And then the other thing was, there's 3 of them, and they're going, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want? I'm starving. I go, I'll go anywhere except for barbecue, because he's from Texas. So what do people eat in Texas? Barbecue. Probably the best barbecue in the world. So they don't want to go to Chicago and get, barbecue. That's like, why would they do that? Because it's never going to compare. So the guy goes, all right, anywhere but barbecue. I'm not going to barbecue in Chicago, okay? And then of course, anytime I heard anybody else from Dallas, Texas in my car, or anywhere in Texas, I'd say, I got a great place for you guys to go. It's a really awesome barbecue place here in Chicago. And they're going to be like, nah, I don't think so. So anyway, I guess you had to be there, but I got a kick out of it. I thought that was kind of fun. So usually when I buy books for moms, it's not great books. You haven't been to that in a while now. It's the
LBS
It's the Lake Virgin Shores Book Club, which meets, once a month? Like the first Monday of the month?
Monthly.
Okay. And usually I buy them one at a time, but this time I bought them on Amazon, and Amazon wants you to buy a bunch of them because you get free shipping. So I bought like 4 or 5 books all at once. So Mom's been reading like 4 or 5 books all at once, kind of. And she's got a few that she's going to go over with you guys. So what's the first one here, Mom? What's the title and the author?
Sold on Monday by Christina McMorris.
Okay. What could you tell me it says about the book what do they say it's about?
Well, it takes on the Great Depression and one man's struggle with honor, ambition, and unimaginable sacrifice. About trying to find this child that was put up for sale, or these children.
Not a real
kind of a sad
uplifting book, is
and
it?
It's based on the fact that during the 20s and 30s, children were sort of sold out and used on farms as workers and things, and they weren't. It was a sad time. Okay. And it's kind of a sad book.
So that's sold on a Monday.
Yes.
What's the next one?
Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates.
Oh.
Is good, and that's Bill Gates' wife.
Well, ex-wife now, right?
Yes, and how empowering women change the world. And the book is about a look at how the need to empower women to change the world. As for the countries with birth control, where people didn't have to have baby after baby, dies young, die at birth.
So she's helping facilitate that now, right?
Yes, she and her husband did, and their Gates
philanthropist husband, right?
Yes.
I mean, aren't those two the biggest philanthropists in the world, aren't they?
They are, yes, they are huge givers.
I would say so.
Yes.
Okay, what's next, Mom?
Another one was A Dutch House by Anne Pichette. Which is kind of interesting. It's about a house, and it all goes through this house that people live in, the Dutch house. And it gives a compassionate exploration of obsession and forgiveness.
Really?
And a brother and sister, both with different attitudes, and it's not sort of light reading. They kind of, there isn't a lot of joy in it in a way.
Okay.
The Dutch House.
Well.
Then the other one is The Last Flight. And The Last Flight is about
Well, just tell me that it has nothing to do with
the frantic lives of two women.
It has nothing to do with 9/11, right?
No.
Okay, good.
Two women who are both determined to escape their current reality. They both have lives that are very mixed up and bad. And how they change identities, and one gets on an airplane and it crashes.
Oh, boy.
And one last chance to disappear.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the one lady from the 9/11 film that we saw, who had a sister and a boyfriend, I think, that both were stewardesses and worked for the airlines. And I don't know, she lived in California or something. She wanted them to come out and babysit for her family.
Oh, yes.
And they agreed to fly out together on the same flight
and they were
to make it out there and babysit for her because she had something that she had going on. And you looked at the poor woman, who's maybe in her 60s now, I don't know what, but you look at the poor woman and you can see how she's like aged herself because she put all that on herself. And even though the whole family said it wasn't you, it was them, it was what they did, she still agrees with them, but at the same time she feels responsible because she asked them to come out. And if she didn't ask them, they might not have been on that flight, and they might still be here. And can you imagine living with something like that? That's got to be tough.
I forgot to give the author on the last flight was Julie Clark.
Okay.
Which was suspenseful in a way. And I think I said The Dutch House by Anne Plachette.
Yeah, you said all the names.
And I said The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. And
you did.
Sold on a Monday by Miss Christina
I don't think
McMorris.
After listening to the description of these books that anybody's going to go run out to Barnes & Noble and buy one. I'll tell you that much.
Well,
but that's what it is. Okay, that's
The
what
Moment of Lift by
all right,
Melinda Gates is really
all right. So if
interesting
anyone,
reading.
try The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates and ask for some of her money because she has tons.
Oh, don't
okay,
say that.
tons of money. Yeah, just let her know what you're going to use it for and make it good. All right. So Mom reads, I read the newspaper, and I read texts on the computer. I'm not a big reader. That's just the way it is.
Well, I read every bit of the newspaper.
But I do read the paper, and we sit down and read them, and we compare notes, and it's kind of a nice way to wake up in the morning.
Well, I'm a fast reader.
You are.
I was reading once in Denver. I had a stopover in Denver, and I was reading in my 2-hour layover. And a lady sitting over across from me came over and said, "Excuse me, miss, I don't want to interrupt, but I've never seen anybody read so fast in my life." Because I'm on the page.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "What?" She said, "No, I've been watching you read. I've never seen anybody read that rapidly." And so I've got proof that I'm a fast reader.
Now, was this?
I can read a whole book in a day or a day and a half.
Was this at a library or where was this?
I was in the airport.
Oh, in the airport. Oh.
In between a layover in Denver. And this lady was sitting over there with her family,
Oh, that's
and
kinda
she
neat.
was watching me read.
That's kind of neat.
And she finally came over and tapped and told me she'd never seen anybody read
Did
so
you take
rapidly.
Evelyn Woodhead's sped reading contest or
Speed reading?
Sped reading?
No,
something or other?
speed?
Did you take that?
No,
Remember that?
never.
When I was a kid, that's all they talked about.
No.
Evelyn Woodhead speed reading
I
course.
was a fast reader in college.
Yeah, well,
And I...
didn't you have a photographic memory?
Yes, I did.
Well,
when
there
I
you go.
would do my test, I could see the whole page and number
That's
and
amazing.
everything on it.
So you had a computer built in your head.
And
Is
Roxy,
that what you're
my
saying?
girlfriend, would always say, "Oh my God, I used to hate you, Fran. You'd get through and be on second or third book. You just remembered everything."
Wow. Well, that's fantastic.
And I could get an A++.
That's awesome, Mom. I wish I had that capability. I only pretend I have photographic memory. Every once in a while I get it right. Anyway, that's about it, folks. So we'll see you guys next week.
So long.
And
Bye.
go out there and buy that book, The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. Okay, bye now.
Bye.